Hi, Jaelynn here. Before the video actually starts, I would like to say that if you're listening to this in the background, it might serve you better to tap back in and experience it visually. This is because I have captioned the entire video to make up for how low my volume gets and as a result how inaudible I am sometimes. I have also added caption notes every now and then to provide corrections or things I think should be said that I simply forgot to say during the initial interview in July. Without further ado, enjoy!
Hello, Spotlight listeners. I hope you are having a wonderful time with the event so far. I, herm8281, am absolutely delighted to bring you a special interview feature with Jaelynn Laveren, a Vocaloid producer, musician, artist, and writer, perhaps best known for her song Girlishly Permanent, a Vocaloid song featuring Hatsune Miku that explores the queer experience, as well as its numerous works of music spanning video game genres and personal works alike. I am delighted to converse with you today, Jaelynn, and I would love if you would introduce yourself to all of us.
Hi, as our gracious host has already said, I'm Jaelynn Laveren. I go by any pronouns that aren't he, him, but for simplicity and emphasis, I prioritize she, it. I'm a trans femme varian artist. Music is my main thing, especially with Vocaloid producing, because I can't sing. But I also do a lot of sprite work and writing. The writing is mainly in practice for a big project I want to release within the next decade. And most of my sprite work is essentially fan art of Undertale and Deltarune, but there are other things I do in that regard, but you know, that's just where my priorities lie right now. I first got into music, I want to say it was 2016. That's a kind of important year for me because that was the time where an online friend of mine introduced me to this little indie game. You might have heard of it. It's called Undertale.
Oh, perhaps some have heard of it.
Oh my god. But yeah, a friend introduced me to that game and I sort of made my way into its fandom, especially what I call the Undertale SoundCloud portion of the community.
Oh, interesting.
Which really introduced me to the large majority of musical fan works within the community. And it was there that I first got inspired to pursue music. Before then, I had only really just been someone who casually listens every now and then, or I'll listen to whatever my mom puts on in the car. But it did take a long time for me to start making things that sounded even remotely decent. But that really was a turning point in my life. I believe I'm at about 9 years of practicing music.
Wow.
2016. We're now in 2025. Yeah, 9 years.
But I mean, when you put it into perspective, that's awesome.
Yeah. Fun fact, while I'm on this tangent about how I started music, when I was first applying to colleges in 2023, or actually, no, around 2022, I think. 2022, 2023. For the essay the system asked me for, I wrote it about how Undertale put me on the trajectory to music, and I definitely nerded out there a bunch.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
I also wrote about Vocaloid in one of my college essays, so
nice.
I'm with you on that one.
In an essay I had to write in like a music class at the end of my first college semester. It was generally about like the evolution of video game music, but I dedicated an entire section to Undertale and like its leitmotifs. And point is, Undertale is a big inspiration on my life, and Deltarune has only kept that momentum going.
I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think that it's really cool to hear about how there's such an intersection between gaming and art in what inspires you, especially like the vibrancy of the fan song communities. I mean, I think that I definitely see some parallels between Vocaloid and sort of those more SoundCloud-based fan song type communities because of the grassroots nature of everything. I'm gonna rephrase this question. I would ask you, what inspired you to create original songs even before Girlishly Perfect? I will ask the question again, using the correct title of your song that I'm interviewing you about. I would be curious to hear what inspired you to create original music after participating in those fan work communities for a long time, even before Girls Ship Permanent, because I think that it's interesting to see how it's evolved. I mean, so recently you released this insanely awesome Ultra Kill song for V2's theme that I was listening to before this interview, and it slaps. So I would be curious to hear, how your creative tastes have developed to a point where you're doing both, fandom-based songs and original work.
The shift to original work was a really weird one because, that was pretty much my entire creative life. Up until that point, my entire creative life was being surrounded in, all the fan works. And I think given my skill set, especially at the time, it was just a little too limiting because I have a terrible ear for pitch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, thanks to my music theory class last semester, I'm only now starting to get a grasp on by ear transcription, and even then not by much. With fan music of Undertale, due to the nature of its soundtrack, a lot of the fan music would delve into the leitmotifs for the characters and how whatever backstory behind the song changes it, just with what I couldn't do and maybe still can't. It was just a little hard to keep up with all of that, especially when I had arrived at a time where all of the big names in that sub-community had already been established, so breaking into it, I guess, in a sense, was very difficult. And I had also seen some other friends at the time, people I don't talk to anymore, that were also in that community that also did music, start to branch out. Similar reasons that making 1,000 remixes of Megalovania was getting a little boring. I definitely think the branching out was for the better because it gave me a lot more wiggle room to work with and learn my program and gain a beginner's grasp on music theory. Yeah, I learned the program and a little bit of music theory.
I'm curious what program you use.
I use this, it's kind of obscure, it's called LMMS. Or LMMS.
LMS.
It's,
yeah, I do know this actually, yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Back when I was still a member of Undertale SoundCloud, because Toby Fox had made the Undertale soundtrack in FL Studio, that was the go-to for UTSC, but I hadn't even turned 13 yet. I definitely did not have money to drop on a copy of FL Studio, so LMMS was suggested as a pretty nice free alternative.
Yeah, well, and I think that's great because music production, I think one of the things can be that it can seem really financially prohibitive to a lot of people getting into it because that FL license is insanely expensive, and same with Ableton, Logic. A lot of the more commonly used DAWs are really pricey.
It was a bit of the monotony of remixing the same few things over and over that sort of made me feel like I should start expanding a little. I didn't abandon fan music. In fact, I still have some recent ones from within the past few years.
Yeah.
There's definitely a semi-noticeable well, obviously it was noticeable that I was making original music, but it still had all those video game influences. I can't even count on my hands the amount of times the intros to my songs have resembled the build-up from Megalovania or Battle Against a True Hero or something like that. So my roots are definitely there.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear you talk about, because something that you said in the beginning was that there was a while, it took you a long time to make something that you felt like was good. And I think that's a lot of new artists' experiences. I would say, for me personally, I draw, but I don't draw well. And I think it can be really difficult and frustrating to make things that you don't think measure up to, your expectations, or what you had imagined in your head. And I would be curious as to, mentally how you moved through that and kept going, because I think perseverance can be one of the hardest things when starting out.
In that regard, I had already kind of accepted that I wasn't going to make it into the big leagues of this little sub-community, especially when, as it went on, it had a lot of drama and issues. At some point, I stopped caring about the fame, and granted, I wasn't making things that were great, but I was still enjoying the output and finding some smaller niches in the sub-community that were also made up of mostly other people who, haven't been able to, break out into the big leagues. Finding that kind of niche was a big part in keeping me wanting to do music. One example in particular was, it was very common in the Undertale SoundCloud community to make what I call self-insert AUs, where...
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for those that don't know, basic premise was that someone would just make a post like, hey, I'm opening a self-insert AU, here's the title, here's the list of roles that I'll be updating. It was usually first come, first serve. And I found one in particular that, like I said, was made up of the smaller people in the community. Mostly, there were some big names that got tangled in, but it was mostly the lesser known. And there's a seasonal thing that would happen in that server, namely art contests based on the characters and themes that can be derived from them. For example, there was a Mother's Day contest, and the prompts would be related to Toriel and the AU versions of her.
Yeah.
I remember something I made for, I do believe it was the Toriel contest that ended up at the very least getting into the honorable mentions of the results, and I do think that was a big moment for me, even if I didn't really realize it right away. And one of the things that was said in, that whole results thing was that I was improving very quickly, which I feel like very quickly was a bit of an overstatement, but that I did take that as a sign that I was going in the right place.
No, I think that reassurance is really nice, right?
Yeah, around especially 2019, 2020, where I was just starting high school and my outlook on everything was, changing. And obviously, come 2020, I had a lot more time on my hands.
Oh, really?
Wonder what happened there.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
we'll find out, maybe.
I had a lot more to think about, and that got me thinking about a lot more original things that I wanted to pursue. There was some of this before then. At some point when I had more time to think, it sort of broadened my horizons as to what I wanted to make. I still couldn't really afford any Vocaloid software, and I did not have the equipment or talent to sing. I ended up with this sort of weird liminal style between what I was making before and what I'm making now, where it would be a song in standard pop format, but it was definitely empty in some way because I had no way to really do vocals. But yeah, it was kind of empty and repetitive. I'm losing my train of thought, and I forgot what I forgot the question we started with.
No, I mean, I think you really have at this point answered the question of how to get past that sort of doubt when you're struggling initially.
Yeah. To put that in one clear answer, find smaller subsections of your community that will take the time to listen to what you have and encourage you.
No, I mean, I think that's great advice. I think that for me, when I started out in the Hollow Knight community, I ended up gravitating towards the speedrunning community because it provided me a place to engage with commentary in a way that felt lower stakes and really very accepting. And I think that finding a group of other people who are accepting and interested in the same thing as you can just be so valuable at the end of the day.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would also love to, I mean, this is a change of topic to some degree, but I would love to hear about the creative process behind Realistically Permanent because it really is such a striking song. For me, when I heard it, I instantly was like, I have to see if she'll talk to us for Spotlight because it just, as a huge Vocaloid fan and as somebody who, is queer and wants to, broadcast queer artists as much as I can with my little platform, which is truly little, I felt like it was such an amazing work because it really intertwined those interests so perfectly, and it was clearly such a heartfelt composition. And I would just love to hear about your process composing it, what you felt like during that time, and also what the reception was like, how that was for you as well.
So, I guess a bit of background. As of today, actually, I am. Hold on. I am officially a year and 8 months on estrogen, and
Woo!
thank you. Obviously, the first year was a big milestone for me, but it wasn't until I want to say around March, April that March, April, May, around that time, that I started really feeling like the gender euphoria that comes with medically transitioning. I'd already figured that I was in like a semi-passing state since the summer before, but it was around that springtime when it actually started to internalize. I was getting gendered properly in public by strangers. I was looking in the mirror and really enjoying what I saw. So that's where Grossly Permanent started, just the embodiment of how good I was feeling about myself earlier this year. And as for the actual compositional process, that was somewhat influenced by this one project I'm a part of. It's a little side ramble about video games again. It is a recreation of early 2000s MMO called Club Penguin. Which,
oh yeah, Club Penguin.
Yes, it was a very big part of my childhood, and I actually scored a spot on the music team of one of these recreation servers.
Wow.
And by music team, I mean up until May, I was the only person making custom music for it, which
you were the music.
Yes, I was the music team, which, there's a lot of music that already existed in the original game, so custom music wasn't a huge priority. But they hosted a Pride mini event where one of the rooms was, decorated in rainbows, and there were some rainbow items to collect. They had wondered if I wanted to make a song for, that room during that event. This was at the same time I was starting to figure out what I want to do with Grossly Permanent, so I decided that, hey, maybe writing 2 songs about the same thing is gonna be difficult. How about I offer to just let them use the song I'm making right now for the event? And
oh yeah, because I saw in your Twitter that it was available in the game.
Yes, that's what influenced the release date. I released it on June 3rd, which was when the event started in game. And when I was, first in discussion about what to do for the event, I was told that whatever it ends up being, it should be calm, because, it's like a one-room event, so I didn't want to do anything too crazy. I think I had already started, laying out chords and instruments, but that direction to keep it chill is what influenced me to do a more lo-fi sounding kind of song, which is very new for me, but whenever I try to tackle a new genre head-on, I do as much research as my brain can comprehend. And I definitely think that what I ended up with was, I do think I am happy calling it a lo-fi song. Right, that's the background. A general creative process I follow is that in my personal storage Discord server, I have a ideas channel in a music section, and that's where I'll write down just a one-off lyric ideas or song titles. And I start with an idea, and then I try to figure out what song or what kind of sound I want the idea to be. And then I start with, I actually do most of the instrumental before I start working on lyrics and melodies. I don't know how I got into that groove, but that's just what works for me.
No, it's interesting.
Obviously, when I start the song, I know what I'm going to make out of it, but yeah. Personally, I just find it easier to, have the foundation, because then I know what space I have for most of the lyrics. But yeah, it's instrumental, melodies. I'll actually usually write the lyrics and melodies side by side. As I'm going, I try to plot it out in the song. I just use like a sine wave as a placeholder. And then, thankfully, PI Pro Studio takes MIDI imports. So I'm able to export the song, isolate the parts that are the vocal melody, and, then I assign the vocals, and once I'm done with that, I start tuning, which I'm sure this isn't an unpopular opinion, but tuning is gonna be the death of me someday.
Yes, typically, for those of you who don't do Vocaloid, tuning being when you make Hatsune Miku sound how you want her to sound is generally regarded as the trial by fire of creating any song with a virtual singer.
My tuning style has definitely changed a lot in the almost 3 years I've been practicing with the software. I think I'm at a point where I can at least do what I normally do, and it'll come out okay, because for another song I made for that Club Penguin project, it was the April Fool's event, and we had like a Miku themed thing, so I made a fully original Miku song for that.
Wow.
And it was actually audible, which was kind of surprising to me, because a lot of people I show like my demos to, especially if it's like if it's got the Vocaloid vocals on it, they definitely struggle to understand what's being said, which is why pretty much every big release I will do will come with a lyric video. As someone who is autistic and audio is one of my big sensory struggles, I know what it's like to not understand the song you're listening to, as good as it sounds. When I started hearing, the feedback from Club Penguin song, I knew I was going in the right direction, because, we couldn't really plaster the lyric video in the game.
Right.
As funny as that would be, because it was the April Fool's event, so I feel like subtitles
it would be
wouldn't
an insane
be
jump
that.
scare.
Huh?
It would be a great jump scare.
Yes. Tuning is one of my enemies, and surprisingly, there's not a lot of tutorials for that when it comes to Vocaloid producing. The main advice I got was instead of using like the pitch bend parameter, which that's very slippery to work with, I do not enjoy it. I was introduced to the concept of note splicing, which, put as simply as I can, after you have the lyric assigned to the notes, you'll chop up the notes and, I don't know, fuck around with that. And it does produce that sort of bending effect, but it's a lot easier to visualize like that, because when you do the pitch bend, it does show you where the bend is going, but it's easier for me to comprehend it when it's the physical notes that are in changing position.
No, I'm curious as well, considering, at least to me, I got Girlishly Permanent through the algorithm, what the reception on the track was like, and how that was for you, because it definitely did get some attention from outside of your existing followers. I say from experience, as somebody who found the track through the blessings of the YouTube algorithm.
Yeah, in the few days before the release, I mainly just posted clips of the lyric video on like my TikTok and my Instagram, my Instagram is honestly more personal than anything, but I don't know, it's got my branding, I might as fucking well. And my music Twitter account, considering the stats there, with like a few hundred views per video and a fair amount of like likes and favorites. I was expecting some turnout, slightly bigger than what I'm used to, which is honestly none. But yeah, I was anticipating a little bit of a bigger turnout, and then it didn't come. And then it did. I need to reread what I told my friends that day when I woke up, because I was just blown away.
Yeah.
So, June 6th, 3 days after the song went live, I woke up, and I usually have YouTube open regardless, and then I noticed, like, the little, bell icon, it had, like, a red dot with the number. I opened it, and there was... Okay, I don't remember the stats for that exact moment, but point is, it was a lot. I slept, and then overnight, the algorithm blessed me, which, as a queer artist, felt very unexpected, I will say.
Yeah. It's not frequent that happens.
Definitely not. By the end of the day, it was at 317 likes, 1.4 thousand views, and 41 comments. And it kind of just kept going. Okay, obviously the momentum has slowed down, but I'm still getting comments every now and then. And
yeah.
I don't think it slowed down until like 2 weeks. No, not even. I don't have an exact number, but it didn't really start slowing down until maybe like the last week or two of June. And
wow.
Yeah, I obviously feel blessed, especially given the opportunity I'm at right now with this interview. It was definitely strange, though. I'd never blown up before.
Yeah, it's such a hard feeling to describe, because I also had this experience of sort of blowing up by getting featured for speedrunning making a pizza with my grandmother. The speedrun ended up getting covered in an actual Spiff video, who's a Five Nights at Freddy's YouTuber with, I think, around 1 million subscribers. And the experience is just... Oh, are you familiar?
Yes, I'm a casual fan. I haven't watched him much in the past few months, but I do know who you're talking about.
Yeah, it was... I mean, he's so nice and he was so kind about it, but it was just such a surreal experience. I think that just having an outpouring of support can be so amazing and so affirming. I know that many people on the internet have had very bad experiences with getting a lot of publicity because there is just such a mixed bag of the people that exist in this vast ocean of users. But I think for me, and I hope, and what I'm hearing from you is that it's been an overwhelmingly positive reception for the most part.
There were some difficult comments. I mean, honestly, I think it's really 2 out of 500 that I've had to delete. One comment that actually kind of confused me. I'm not gonna put any names on the spot, but one of the day one of it blowing up comments was after I'd already deleted 2 transphobic comments, but a comment I got was along the lines of, this actually really sucks. You can't just call anyone that doesn't like your song transphobic.
What?
Yeah, I wasn't doing anything close to that.
No.
I deleted 2 comments of people being actually harmful. I have...
You heard it here first. If you don't like a queer person's art, you're a homophobe. Like, what?
But yeah, I have a duty to protect my queer audience from harm, and I followed through. So I have no idea what that person was going on about. I kept the comment up just to... not to spite them, but as...
Just don't give them their vindication, you know?
Exactly.
I feel you.
As annoyingly unconstructive it was, I feel like it definitely would have maybe proven their point if I deleted it, but they weren't exactly... Right. They were being annoying, not hateful, so...
Yeah.
And thankfully that was the end of that. It's still weird, though.
No. I think that's the thing, is that even in the best case scenario where you get 99% really nice people who are super uplifting and excited about what you've done and excited for your future work, there will always be 1% of people who are just unable to be normal about it.
Yeah, that's how it is on the internet, unfortunately.
Yeah. As unfortunate as that is. Mm-hmm. But I'm really glad to hear that it has been that 99-1 split for you. Because floating on the algorithm as a queer creator can be really scary.
Very. Oh my god.
And especially with a song like Girlishly Permanent that, you know, addresses that experience so directly. I'm really glad to hear it went to people who are interested in it in good faith.
Yeah.
And not people who are, like I said, unable to be normal about it for any given reason.
Yeah, I definitely got lucky there.
I think that probably will wrap up soonish. I mean, it's been really fascinating to hear from you. I have enjoyed this tremendously, and I think that everybody in the audience will also be enjoying it tremendously. But I would be interested to hear, you know, any advice that you have for queer artists, especially young queer artists that are maybe starting out. You know, how to grow as an artist while also being in tune with yourself, because I think that's something that I admire so much about your work, is that it mixes in, you know, interests that you have, communities that you're involved in, and also just your own experience being Jaelynn. I think that's really, really cool, and I think that definitely some of the people in the audience will look up to that a lot, and so I would love to hear any advice you have.
Okay,
You can think on this too.
Yeah.
No worries. It's kind of a heavy question.
No, definitely. I think at the end of the day, a lot of it comes down to, you know, being authentic to yourself. And like I said earlier, finding like those smaller, you know, subsections that are accepting and willing to hear you out. And even if you don't get blessed by the YouTube algorithm, I think a lot of what we need right now, especially on the internet in the world we are in right now, which was another facet that went into the making of Girlishly Permanent, but given what's needed in the world right now, even if you don't like explode overnight with what you're making, it is still worth making, because again, the world needs a lot of positivity right now, and the more we hear from like, you know, queer artists of color, etc., the lighter things seem. I mean, I definitely know how that feels, because even if it doesn't really shine through in how I produce, you know, the queer artists that have and like made it into the pop scene in recent time, it's definitely been a huge motivator and inspiration. As someone who's been on the other end of people resonating and feeling seen and empowered by what I've made, the more persistence someone gives into their work, the better it's going to be for the people that see it, no matter how many people that may be.
I think that is so poignant and so true, because in the era that we're in right now, we need queer art and queer artists more than ever. Not just for some sort of cosmic purpose or even any sort of, you know, structural purpose. Like, we need it for each other. As a way of expressing ourselves and expressing our love for the things we love and expressing our love for each other. Like, I think that is so important. I'm really glad that you touched on that, because if there's anything that I want to do with Spotlight, it's to try and bring people together and celebrate each other as much as we can, because that community is so important. I personally came out on the internet long before I came out to people in person, and that was really liberating for me. And so I will also just say, you know, this is Jaelynn's interview, but I will say, if you're listening to this and thinking that you're maybe getting started and you haven't hit the algorithm and you're not entirely sure where to go, come and apply for Spotlight next year. We would love to have you. This is a space for really everybody from all experience levels and walks of life. So yeah, thank you so much, Jaelynn. If you have anything that you want to close out with, anything you want to plug, any projects that you have coming up in, you know, future weeks or months.
Yes.
We'd love to hear it.
I actually have 2 more things lined up for the summer as of right now.
Sick.
Definitely want to, even though it's not June anymore, I definitely want to keep the focus of what attracted my audience, which, you know, was very personal LGBT music.
Yeah.
And at the very least for July, I'm going to keep the positivity train going. August, I do want to transition no pun intended. I want to use August as a transitional period between what people showed up for and what to expect in the future.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out how exactly I'm going to go about that, but what I can say is that the song I'm looking to release this month, which, you know, if you're hearing this on the stream, it'll definitely be out already, and I may
Go listen to it.
Yeah, I may even be playing it in the background at this very moment, alongside Girls Who Permanent, although I'm gonna have to find a lot of music to cover the almost hour of footage we're at right now. But the song I'm looking to release in July, within the next 2 weeks, I'm calling it Sculpture. It is dedicated to my girlfriend.
Oh, huge!
Yeah, she actually became my girlfriend in the middle of starting the process, so
wow.
that was definitely fun. But I'm dedicating it to her because while I am trans, I also love women to fucking death.
Hell yeah!
With the themes I want to keep going for the summer in mind, I definitely wanted to strike that angle with myself.
Yeah.
And I still need to actually finish the song, so I don't have a release date yet. But again, if you're here, if you're watching this, it's probably out already. But yeah, Sculpture by Jaelynn Laveren, featuring Hatsune Miku, should be on all streaming services, and the lyric videos will be on my YouTube, as Girls Who Permanent was. I will probably also upload the instrumental version, and I think that's about it.
Alright, well, thank you so much.
Thank you. I was definitely a little blindsided when I woke up to your message proposing my...
It was kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah. I was definitely a little blindsided when I woke up to that message offering a spot on Spotlight. I am more than honored to be part of something like this. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
And from the bottom of my heart, thank you. That's what I appreciate, is that both of us are really happy about this whole deal.
Yeah.
And I am so excited to see what work you're going to make in the future, both in and outside of this niche that the algorithm floated to you. Everybody go follow Jaelynn on YouTube and all the other platforms it has. Go check out Girlishly Permanent and all of the songs, and we will be so excited to see what the future holds for you, Jaelynn.